So this is how we go from this
It's a win-win situation. It's a win-win situation.
to this.
It's a win-win situation.
The Baby Blue is our main vocal track. We have our chorus left, chorus center, and chorus right. Then we have the main vox. I'm just gonna call this main vox. Now over here, we have the chorus. We recorded the vocals on the Slate VMS, and what we're using for the emulator is an FG269. Going down the vocal chain, we have our tube preamp emulator, then we have an EQ. Right after that, we dipped some from 10K, did a little bit of a bump around 7K, a little bit of a dip, about a dB at 600. And then of course the low end, we have about almost 2 dB there at 60 Hertz. Have a little bit of some high pass, no low pass going on. And then we have 2 compressors going in right after that, followed by our FG-DS and then our trimmer. Then we have a de-esser here, a little bit of sensitivity just to get away from those plosives. Then we have a fresh air, boosting the mids a little bit and a little bit of the highs. Now going into our sends, we have a 1/16th delay, and that's going from here to here, this 1/16th delay, which we're using our repeater. And after that, we have heat wave. We have our drive at 24, but we also have it feeding in to about -25 dB. And then our Storch filter, which is adding some reverb, chorus, and a bit of a spread. And that's about -24 dB that's going into this aux track. And of course, we have our parallel saturation and our parallel hype right here. Give a little bit of some oomph into that lead vocal. So it sounds like this.
It's a win-win situation. 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 It's a win-win situation.
And then for our chorus, we tracked the artist 3 times. And what I did with the 2 left and right channels here is apply Melodyne. Now for the chorus left and right, I have my chorus center feeding into the lead vox. And then I have my chorus left and right, and then I have my chorus left going into my double vox left, chorus right going to double vox right. Now the vocal chain on this, for the 2 left and right choruses, I have it being fed to the FG269, and then we have the EQ going into 2 compressors, and then another EQ, which there's a dip around 400. We're also adding de-essers to both of those left and right channels, just to take care of those plosives. Then we added fresh air, got 20% on the mid, 10% on the highs. I did a little bit more boosting on those high ends to have it cut through on the left and right channels. Now what I call my everything aux send, I have a mix bus here that's going into an EQ, which is going out to a trimmer. I boosted the highs a little bit, about a dB, dropped down 400 by about a dB as well. And then I boosted around 60 Hertz. Now in my everything aux track, this is where all the vocals and all the instruments are gonna be going. Also have a virtual tape machine. Now what we have for the instruments here is we have our 2 guitar tracks that we went DI and a room guitar that's being fed out into Dave's guitar aux. And we have a mix rack going on with EQ. We have some highs being boosted, boosting around 6K. And then we have it being fed into a compressor. And then we have John's guitar. This is John's guitar right here, the orange, and that's being fed into another mix rack. That mix rack's got an EQ and a compressor going on. Nothing too much. And of course we got the oop being fed to another mix rack as well. EQ, compressor, and then we have the revival. Not doing too much on the compressor. Our bass guitar channel, of course we have our bus VCC channel, the EQ. Got an FG2A for the compressor, a little bit of revival here for that low end here, which is the thickness for this plugin. And then we have our trimmer just in case we need it. Now what we have here is the djembe. So this is the djembe, it's being fed into this djembe aux track. Over here we have Neutron 4, we've got we have 3 dB gain going from around 2K up. Of course, we have a transient shaper because I wanted to have that attack be a little bit sharper on the djembe. And then also we have a gate that kind of silences that djembe at a certain point, around 30, a little bit after around 35, a little bit after 35 dB for it to kind of cancel out there. Now, what I did here was add a drum part. With that drum part, we have these different MIDI sequences, all these different rudiments within these drums. Each section is going to be different from the intro to the verse to the chorus. Now, what I used here was an SSD plugin, and what I have is a deluxe reggae kit preset for the drums. Now, before the mix, what I did was time all of the instruments together so that it didn't sound like some hot mess, from the djembe to the bass to all of the guitars and even the vocals. For the instruments, what I used was Elastic Pro, and here's the before and after. Right around the 344 mark, it wasn't coming back to the downbeat, so at bar 111, we changed the time signature here to 2/4. Once we changed that to 2/4, the rest of the song ended up being in time together. Because if we didn't, this downbeat ended up coming in at beat 2 of the next bar. So it threw the rest of the song off. So by changing the time signature here at 111 to 2/4, and then at 112 back to 4/4, it put the rest of the song right on time. And it doesn't affect any of the instruments. And then this is our mastering chain. We have some EQ going on here, some dips on the low because it was kind of cutting through too much. Got about a 2.5 dB gain, around 3K. Then we have our stabilizer, our impact, and then our imager to create some added spread to the song, our dynamic EQ, and our maximizer. Now, in order to finish the master, what we have is the Slate VSX. Now I'm mixing on the headphones here, but what it's doing here is giving me emulations of different types of studios, whether it's Archon, NRG, even cars, SUV, electric car, an audiophile room, a boombox, and one of my favorites that I always like to mix on is AirPods. This emulates AirPods, whether it's wired or wireless. So I get a good feel of how a mix will sound on AirPods. Then I'll go back to hear how it sounds in cars, such as the electric car and the SUV. I tend to go between NRG, Archon, and Zuma Studios. And that was it. Bye, see ya, one.